Hey everybody, and welcome into Casual Relief, a Door Disc Golf podcast. Casual Relief, or as a listener texted me and called it, Unhinged Happy Hour. My name is Ben, joined as always with Matt and Michael. How you fellas doing tonight on Unhinged Happy Hour?
I feel like that is a compliment. Happy Hour is never a bad thing. Happy Hour is so good. I love that.
I never felt more proud of us.
Yeah, we did it, guys. We made it to the top. We are gods now. We did
and
it.
Since we don't kiss and tell, that's just going to remain anonymous forever.
We don't, but I also wear that as a badge of honor because it means that traditionally happy hours are a fun gathering place. So clearly people are gathering to listen to us, and we'd be lying if we said that many a time this hasn't been unhinged and tangents and
no,
just
never
all
off
of it.
The rails. Never. We are always on topic, on task.
We run a cliche.
All the time. Yes, yeah. Straight to the point.
Always on. Love
it. It's something. That's all we really can offer you. I think that's like what somebody is going to review it as someday.
I hope
Casual Relief. It's something.
Let's just also take a moment. Guys, we're at our 5th episode. We did it. In even 5.
You know...
Some people would say like maybe 50 or 100 would be a great...
Little wins, guys. Little wins.
Big wins.
5.
Okay.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Thanks to Shane for letting us keep going.
Right.
If you heard some of it, he might have just been like, "This is enough." But here we are.
I thought last week's episode was going to be enough. That would have been. But we're here. We did it.
We did it. We're celebrating another a milestone, I guess. It's like when you are in middle school and you date your middle school girlfriend for a week. That's the anniversary we're celebrating today, fellas. 5 episodes.
We did it. Yay. Did you bring? Who brought the cake?
I didn't bring a cake. There's no cake. There's no cake.
But
another
cake with me. Okay, all right. You know how
I'm gonna rein it in. I'm gonna rein it in. I'm gonna rein it in for a second. Another listener feedback is that people don't actually know who you guys are. We've just kind of introduced you briefly. People know me and my nonsense from Night Owls. So I don't feel the need to divulge into my past, because if you want, you can go listen and learn about me from when I spilled the Emerson Keith secrets on a previous Night Owls episode. But let's get into you guys. You guys have known each other for a while, is my understanding. I'm kind of a late addition into your kind of disc golf circle. So kind of tell us a little bit about how you guys met, how you guys became disc golf buddies, and your disc golf experience, and kind of how you started and to here you guys are today.
Yeah. I'll let you go because yours started before.
I was gonna say the same thing. Mine kind of flows into you here. So, Michael and I both went to UW Green Bay together. Before disc golf, we were big ultimate players. So, you have the disc skill and all that kind of fun stuff. And for a couple of years, I was the club captain at UW Green Bay.
Not a big deal.
No, just small flex. Yeah. So that's how Michael and I met. We went through Ultimate. We weren't super structured, but we were structured. We tried. I know in my years was kind of when we started to get structured, and as I left and new blood took over, they got a little bit more serious, and went a long way from there. And that club is still growing and super excited to see. But that's how we met, was through there. And my disc golf journey is very much after I decided I didn't want to run anymore, but I still wanted to play with Frisbees. I decided disc golf was for me, moved away from the Green Bay area to move back home, and not really an ultimate scene back in like central Wisconsin. So I really took up disc golf, and just as a sport that I could play, by myself, and fell in love with it. I think it's kind of that story that everyone says where you finally throw a disc straight and you get it to exactly where you want to, and you just fall in love with the game. So I think I've been disc golfing seriously now for 6 years, I think now. I think this is my 6th year. So loving every minute of it. Unfortunately, took a step back with shoulder surgery about a year and a half ago. But on the way to recovery and getting better every day. So
you and I have something in common in that our disc golf journeys kind of really took off in central Wisconsin. So just to be very brief about my disc golf journey, because I went into it for extensively, like I mentioned before, I went to UW Stevens Point, and a good buddy of ours, Lucas Stabenow, a member of the team, he's like one of my best friends, one of my best friends from college. He took disc golf pretty seriously when we were going to UW Stevens Point, and I was just kind of like the tag along, like have a beer and be outside with those guys kind of buddy. And then I was terrible, but like I had played disc golf just like recreationally with like 2 discs, like some DX stuff, like growing up when I was like 14 or 15, but obviously nothing super serious. And then similar situation of just like one time in that happy accident where you throw something that like does what you actually want it to do, and then it's just like, oh, okay, now I understand like why people are serious and what the appeal is of it, and then you just kind of fall in the rabbit hole. But yeah, that's happened for me in central Wisconsin when I was going to UW Stevens Point, and there's some great courses in central Wisconsin for you to for all skill levels too. Like I think central Wisconsin, they've got a good scene and a good thing going over there. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, the Big Old Plain in the Mosinee Wausau area is great. And then, I mean, Standing Rocks is one of my favorite courses in Wisconsin. I would say definitely top 3.
And Yalga's a hidden gem. I think like, they've done a lot of work. They've done a lot of work there. They got 3 tee pads, multiple pin positions that they can, throw things in. Yalga is, in my opinion, in the state, a really underrated kind of hidden gem. And it's, center of the state, so anybody can kind of drive there, and you can do Yalga and Standing Rocks in a weekend, and you wouldn't be disappointed by any means.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, kind of to wrap up mine, I was a big MVP thrower for probably a good chunk of my time. And after a terrible tournament at Zobel, threw everything out of the bag. And the one advice that I will give everybody is don't be very brand specific. I feel like you limit yourself. There's so many good discs out there, unless you're sponsored or unless you're an ambassador, like those kind of things like Ben is. But there's so many good discs out there. And we talked about last time how every brand has their 5.5 Neg 1.1, and you could slot one of those discs in every single slot, and you could have a pretty good rounded bag. But try every disc, try it from your friends. Don't buy it necessarily, but, try it, throw it a couple times, and don't be so brand specific.
Yeah. What division do you play, and what's your rating?
I play MA1 currently, and then I am, what am I now? I think I'm 928, so a little bit below the cap, but dropped quite a bit with some of the tournaments and last year with the shoulder surgery. And I know I'm about probably a 940 to 950 type player when I'm just decent. So really excited to bounce back this year.
Booyah. Okay. Well, mine, just as Matt was transitioning out of Ultimate Frisbee, I was transitioning into Ultimate Frisbee at UWGB, and played as just a regular player for about a year and a half, and then got the offer to become a captain as well. We did as much as we could. Unfortunately, the Ultimate scene isn't super huge in northeastern Wisconsin. It's grown a lot recently, but when I was the captain, it wasn't that great. So that was my struggle. And I've always been an incredibly competitive person. So I found myself yelling at people for doing things wrong when I was the captain. So I didn't really like that about myself.
No, that's why we're a powerhouse doubles team, is because we're just so vocal about the need to win.
See, that was my issue as a captain, as I wasn't vocal enough as a captain.
Yeah. I was a little bit too vocal, and I didn't really like that about myself. So I chose to step away from it my super senior year. I graduated in 4.5.
Did a little victory lap.
I did a little victory lap there. So in that kind of half semester that I was still there, half semester. That's silly. In that last semester that I was there, I was really not involved in the ultimate picture at all, and was almost exclusively disc golf. So disc golf started for me my first day on campus at University of Wisconsin Green Bay. My roommate, we all have that bad first roommate. He was good because he was just like, "Hey, disc golf course is here. Let's go play." And so I was like, "Yeah, let's go." Then it was just something that we did, when we weren't at Ultimate Frisbee practice, we were playing disc golf. And it was just that slow build for me of just things that you could do. And then that final hit for me was that, like, hey, I can do this, not show my frustrations towards anybody else. My frustrations are only with myself. If I do something wrong, I'm the only one that can be blamed for it. And I'm not looking to blame anyone else for the things that I do incorrectly. So that's my big thing. I just made the switch to MPO, and I am a 960 rated golfer.
First cash. Congratulations, buddy.
Talk to us about that, Michael. That was pretty sick. That was your first cash, your first MPO event.
First cash, first MPO event. The first round was absolutely hot garbage. Not because of my actual play, but because of the conditions.
One would call it cold garbage.
Yeah.
Very cold garbage.
What was it? Like 32?
It's below freezing because it was coming down and was not rain.
Plus wind chill.
Yeah. So it was like 28 to 32 in there.
And then 7 billion miles an hour wind.
It was blowing. Shot the first round, +3, relatively happy with it because of the conditions. Made silly mistakes with disc choices, and that's what +3 showed up as. Over the course of the break in between rounds, had a bomb lunch in form of a sandwich with some
Chipotle gourmet.
The Chipotle gourmet is his life. And just decided.
Okay, hold on, slow down. We don't give it out any free ads, but this one deserves one. Is it Boar's Head? Is that what it's called? Yeah, Boar's Head Deli. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Done. You it's like Subway, but for better sandwiches.
Just like Mama makes them.
Just like Mama makes them.
I'm a Scott Subs guy.
Yeah, we love good stuff. Okay, back to it. Just decided I didn't want to leave anything else out there, and just shot the rounds that I was able to. Went for the putts that I needed to. Made some good putts. Made some good drives. Ended up shooting a 4 down, 2 off the hot round. Jumped myself up from a tied to 14th place to solo 5th. So that felt really good.
I think it's important to mention too that you shot a 4 down at Wildberry, and I don't care what division you play in. Wildberry is a course that eats its young. That you could be a 1,000 rated player, and you could come out of there with like even +1, +2, yep, or to 1 down, and that's still a very, very good round. So for you to get 4 is very, very good.
Second hottest round of the day.
10-15. Yeah, 4 down was 10-15 rated.
Yeah,
and then,
it's
6 down was 10-34. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I can't stress to anybody that's listening that hasn't played it how tight some of the holes are, how tight some of the fairways are, and then you add this weather into it where the wind is whipping and just hitting the lines out there. So I couldn't recommend enough playing Wildberry because it really will test your your mental ability and your skills as a disc golfer. So just I'm gonna keep the hype train going for you on that. 4 down is one of my best rounds of all time, and I can only do that once out there. I'm usually averaging 1 to 2 to even out there. So it's a tough one. So that's really incredible.
Happy. Really happy.
It's deceiving because the lines, if you just look at it on paper, they seem like short holes, but the lines require pinpoint accuracy and some specific shots.
it really just shows Shane's prowess as a course designer, and I really want him to design more courses because it's the thing about Wildberry is that it's hard, but it's not hard where you say I'm never going back.
No,
but it's also
it's
it's not easy either. Like it's not so easy that you play it and you're done, but it's not so hard and then you're like, okay, that was it. Okay, cool. And it's not hard in that you feel like you got punched in the face and you never want to go back. Like it's that perfect kind of feeling of it's like I left a lot out there. I know I can do better and I'm trying to tame this beast. So
yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I wasn't sold on it the first couple times I played it, but the more I play it, the more it's really growing on me.
Oh, absolutely. I felt the same way about it too, and it's also just one of those courses that just plays so differently depending on the year time of the year you're in.
Yeah.
I mean that's like that with all courses, but it's just like the way that the lines are set up when there's like foliage and growth. Really changes how you approach some of those holes.
Yeah.
So, well, that's awesome. What else do you guys have kind of on coming up this year as far as tournaments or what you got planned or like where can we see you? What's kind of going on for the rest of your year in disc golf?
So the last couple years, I have gone hard in the paint with tournaments. Doing like I think I did 15 2 years ago. And 14 last year, or I did so many in the last 2 out of 3 years, which is probably why I had to get shoulder surgery. So I have kind of scaled back a lot of my tournaments. Currently, I'm only signed up for 3, and one of them was springtime. Got Clash coming up, which will be fantastic, and then Silver Cup. But really, just looking to just repair, recover. And just really fall back in love with the casual side of it again. One of my motivations for coming back up to Green Bay was to play with more people and do that. And then just on a personal side, Michael and I kind of have our own side club I wouldn't say side club. It's legit, but we have a club that we started that we're really pushing. I host an event in mid-May up at Sandy Point that we're gearing up for and getting ready for, and some fun stuff that I haven't announced to the group yet, so I won't announce on here, but some exciting stuff that we got planned.
Why wouldn't you break it on here, dude?
I could.
Break the news.
So
break it.
We'll break it. So we are going to be hosting the club is called Disc Golf Syndicate. We are hosting a syndicate series throughout the year, which will be it'll be like 4 total tournaments placed throughout like the summer, starting off with our event up in Sandy Point and playing some really popular courses here in Wisconsin, and then finishing up at about September with a finale, seeing how that goes. And then we're going to host once a month, I think is kind of the goal right now, but kind of like an ace race type style events where we can raise funds, and if you have a tag you can pay $5 in, and if you hit an ace you get all the money of everywhere throughout the state that that has participated. Some bag tag, like end of year prize money, so a lot of really fun stuff going on through Disc Golf Syndicate. Find me on Facebook or Instagram if you want an invite. Keeping it invite only because of all the spam accounts that are out there. But definitely open to anybody who wants to have fun, compete, and just talk disc golf in the group.
Yeah, and what we're really looking at is like we noticed that most of these leagues that are occurring throughout Wisconsin are the pockets leagues. So we've got our Green Bay League, we've got the Madison League, we've got a bunch of Milwaukee leagues, and so we were just looking at like let's just put something together as a state like that we can all talk, get together, meet up, say like, hey, meet up at Manitowoc this weekend. Let's all hit it and get down there and play. So that's kind of what our main thought was and focus behind it. And we're just trying to take it to a new level.
Yeah, and shout out to everybody that's in that group. Myself, I'm the president. Michael's the vice president. We have our buddy Logan is treasurer. Yep, that's the title. But there's so many people in that group that are just willing to step up and willing to do whatever's needed just to help out and get things going. So super excited for the future, super young. I think officially we're not even like a year as like us really defining ourselves as a club, but super excited for what we got going on.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm a member of the group, so just kind of seeing everything that's going on is definitely exciting from a state standpoint and just a personal standpoint. To see you guys crushing it with other cool stuff is awesome to see. Matt gets a little bit of taste of what it's like to be me in the disc golf world and running events. So yeah, that's awesome. Really excited for you. It sounds like a lot of good stuff's in the works, and I'm excited to be a part of it. As always, willing to help out on my end and do what I can. So should be a very good and fun and action-packed summer up here in Northeast Wisconsin.
If you're going to Clash, there should be a sign on both of the courses with a QR code to get to the Facebook page as well.
I can tell you exactly what holes those are, because I just got all the stuff printed this week, and we got to put signage together here coming up. But yes, if you are playing Clash at the Creek, you can find a syndicate sign on hole 11 at Pamperin and hole,
I believe it's 8 at Pinecrest, the island hole.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So there you go. You can check those out. Scan the QR code. This is also just a shameless plug for the Clash of the Creek that there are other QR codes for entering to win things from different vendors and different sponsors out there. So should be a good time. The good time to transition. Let's go move into our main segment tonight. We're talking about Tour Series discs or signature items. Call it whatever you want. Because we'll break down each kind of piece of it, of kind of how we think things are going kind of in the current, I guess, economy or the current kind of setup of touring pros. So I guess I'll open the floor to you guys. Do you guys have any just overall arching thoughts of kind of how you think that these things are playing out right now? And then we can kind of think about it or kind of talk about it and kind of break it down.
I'll go first, and I'll say
hold on. I want to say something. I want to say it.
Fine.
I bought the Kelvin Heimberg Squatch bag today, guys.
We'll get back to that.
So,
we'll get back. We'll get back.
We'll circle back. Oh, okay.
I will say that this might get spicy.
This will get spicy.
Oh boy!
I'm gonna come out and say something that's probably gonna make some people mad. I do not believe that everyone needs a Tour Series disc. Granted, it's a great way to make our pros money, but when it comes down to it, the market's starting to get saturated with all these different.
Call them out.
Support.
Call them out. Who doesn't need one?
Who doesn't need one? I'm not gonna say that. But I will say,
don't be soft. Who doesn't need one?
If you're outside of the top 15 ranked in your division, in the standings, I guess not in the division, you're not going to move it. You're going to peddle the discs off as your own, but people aren't feeling compelled to buy those Frisbees just because of your name.
Yeah, and
you're not scoring in the top 15 regularly, and you're ranked top 15 in the world.
And that to me is kind of the problem with signature discs, right? Is that signature discs is where we see it most often. But the point why signature discs were created was to help players, or the thought process behind it was to help players fund their tours for the rest of the year, right? To help them get money, to help them do that. Where the players that need that right now are those players that are outside the top 15. But as a business standpoint, you're not pushing those discs because you have no notoriety. So pretty much you're just putting your name on a stamp on a disc that sells, or your stamp on a disc that sells really well. You can
take a 30-second timeout. 30-second timeout. I think that this is important just to break down quick. Tour series is what everybody's getting. Signature series or signature disc is what lives on there all the time because it's got their signature. So I just wanted to, sorry to interrupt, but just wanted to take a 30-second timeout. So continue on with your thought. But the signature and tour series is just something I think that we got to break down and differentiate quick. Because and
I guess
signature
I'm thinking
series,
more.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking more tour series.
Okay.
And
yes,
and I think Michael is also on the tour series train with me, where I don't know, you're not going to push tour series discs if you're not a popular player. But the people who benefit from tour series discs are the folks that need the money, who are outside the top 15.
The people that should benefit from the tour series discs.
Right. And it's just, if you're it just isn't a good business model if you're pushing. You see it from both sides. It's not a good business model if you're trying to push a bunch of discs with somebody's name on them that doesn't play well or that nobody knows about. So you're going to sell discs. You're going to sell discs with Paul's name on them. You're going to sell them with Ricky's. You're going to sell them with Calvin's. You're going to sell them with, Nate and Germ and those kind of guys. But the people that really benefit from Tour Series discs are the folks that can't push them because they're not huge names.
I think we just need to change the naming scheme of these things because a tour series is I agree that not everybody needs a tour series, but then I don't think but the people that I think that need the support from that should just do their own run and you can only get them through that person and then it's just a truly a fundraiser thing. These people that are trying to grind. I'm just trying to think of someone like a Sai Ananda or somebody somebody like that who's trying to really burst on the scene, or Lindsay Fish is a good example of somebody from us. She has in my mind the way that I think it should be, right? She's with Gateway and she's got a stack. She's got boxes of discs that she travels around with, and then she sets it up and people can buy the stuff that's got her disc on it. But it's not a tour series. It's not this is she is selling these, she got them at the super, the Buco cheap rate and is now selling them to support herself. So I think that's the appropriate way to go about it. But I think that there's just this false narrative or this false thing going on of oh, this is my tour series disc. I'm on tour. This is my, and they are then calling it oh, this is my signature disc for the year. I'm no, you were kind of just assigned that. That was, or you had a little bit of an input and that's what you that's what
you had a choice between. You had a choice between 3 discs because Paul has the buzz, or because Chris has the zone, or Chris has the buzz as well.
They all have their own tour series version of the buzz.
And that's the thing too is you're noticing that these top players are putting their names on popular discs because why? Because they sell. You're gonna sell buzzes, you're gonna sell zones. The only reason that Chris sells Challenger OSs is because he putts well with them, and because he's Chris Dickerson. It's a weird thing where, if anybody else had put their name on a Challenger OS, it wouldn't sell. But it just is a weird. I agree that the Tour Series and / Signatures disc is just a weird place in our sport right now that you don't see that in do you see, I don't see anybody pulling out their Tiger Woods signature 3-wood to pull out on the golf course and really show it off. You just don't see that in golf at all.
Yeah, you do.
So it just is a weird thing in our sport that I think is unique to our sport. It's cool because they get to have their stamp on that, or they get to kind of customize that a little bit, or how much ever the manufacturer allows them to do it. But it's a unique thing to our sport for sure.
I think that there's different bits and pieces that we can kind of take away from all the manufacturers that I think have really done it right to an extent. The one that kind of comes to mind is Innova had a really good idea at the start of who gets a signature disc, and it's have you win a major and then you'll do that, and then they screwed over Val Jenkins, and then that was dumb. But I still think that the merits there of just like, oh, you win a major, then your signature goes on this disc forever and ever, right? Like Nate Sexton's the late. Well, no, he's not the latest. Germ's the latest that he got, like the AVR. Is it the AVR X3? I think.
AVR X3. Yeah.
Yeah, so like his signature will be on that forever. Nate Sexton has the Excalibur forever. So like I like that model of it. I think Lone Star, and yes, I'm on like the Ranger team, but I just think that they've figured out a pretty good model of like they are calling these discs like Tour Series discs, and like they have the players' stamp on them. But like if you want to get them, you really can only get them through the player at this moment, and like. They are getting like the money directly. Like when I was in Vegas, like I just paid the guys for the disc. Like I gave them cash, or like you could swipe a card, or like, and they had like their own Square reader. And like when it came up on there, it said Robert Burridge. Like that's who you paid. Like you directly paid them. So like that, I think like Lone Stars figured it out. I think Discraft's just a hot mess when it comes to like their tour series. Like, I know it is,
that's what it boils down to is that the Frisbees sell. So Discraft can put out a disc out there with somebody's name on it, and it's going to sell because Discraft is like, the hot thing, and it has been for the last 5 or 6 years.
But like to an extent, though, like are people buying it because it's got somebody's name on it, or are they buying it because it's swirly and like they're releasing different color variations or different patterns? Because like nothing against some of these people, but it's just like.
Mm-hmm. Nothing against some of these people, but like,
yeah.
I'll specifically say like,
find it out? Like, are you're gonna run a sample of discs like with just the swirls and the stock stand, and then you're gonna run the disc with just the maybe not the most ugly colors in the world, but maybe not quite as great swirls with the signature series, or not the Tour Series stamp on it. And you're going to be able to sell those and figure out, is it the disc with the stock stamp, or is it the actual name?
So let's pose
the biggest problem is we don't know
I have a theory
right now if it's the disc or if it's the person, because they're putting people's names on popular discs.
So let's answer that question. Are you guys? So start with Ben, I guess first. Are you buying Tour Series discs because of the disc or because of the person?
Okay, so what I'll say is that the last Tour Series discs I bought were for Lone Star, and you got to take me with very much with a grain of salt. And I understand that, like, but I bought the Tour Series stuff because it was in Founders plastic, which Founders plastic is great. It's a great plastic, but it's so limited as to what it comes in, and it's a limited runs of things. So like, I like that plastic. So like, that's why I bought it. I personally bought it for the plastic. And that's just Lone Star's just an anomaly. Like that's like what it is, right? Like,
yeah.
Like with their Tour Series stuff, that's very just like, that's their own thing and like their own thing to differentiate. But I'll take myself back to it. And like before this, so like last year I bought a couple of Tour Series things, and I bought the Calvin Heimberg Toro, and that was like a Tour Series Toro. I bought it because one, I like Calvin. Everybody likes Calvin. Like if you don't like Calvin, you're just a weirdo. But I think like I also bought it though because that was a new mold from Innova, right? Like they were trying to do like that overstable like zone type disc. Somewhere to complement the pig. So that's why I bought it, because I was like looking for something like that, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, let me, try that. I bought that specifically for the mold and the player. The player was more secondary, but I was buying it for the mold. And it's just like it's literally just purple glow champion. Like it's nothing special with like the plastic. There's no swirls or anything. It's the same blend that like all the color glows in.
Yeah, and I'll just say the last Tour Series disc I bought 3 of them, and that gentleman isn't even on their team anymore. I bought 3 Mason Ford Getaways because I really like the way the Orbit plastic looks, and because the Getaway is a staple in my bag right now. And I wanted backups, and they were only $12.99, so super cheap.
That's a steal.
Again, like, Oh, absolutely, and a disc that I love too. Like now I have backups, but anyway, I didn't buy it for Mason Ford. Like I'm not going out and I'm not buying a bunch of mint discs from them right now. I bought it because it's a getaway because the Orbit plastic.
You did buy it because of Mason Ford because he's not on the team anymore, so it was cheap.
Oh, yes, by the transitive property. I bought
facto,
it because of making. Yeah, thank you, Mason Ford, for leaving dynamic discs so I could get cheap getaways.
Real quick, why isn't Mason Ford's Tour Series from Mint a Mustang? A Ford Mustang? Are you serious? That's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
That's a bullet, but that would have been hilarious. Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
That
would
have been really good.
A Ford
missed
Mustang.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
I wonder if they could even use the Ford. Like they probably have to use some trademark type.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able. You wouldn't be able to probably use the Ford font for sure. Not. But
yeah. You could find a
way.
You could find a way. I'm sure.
Stuff on it.
Yeah. Missed opportunity. If it happens, Casual Relief gets the credit.
Yeah. Right here.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I haven't bought anything necessarily like Tour Series. I've bought Signature Series stuff. I'm an avid Onyx thrower, and other than that, the discs that I throw, I guess I bought a Calvin Heimberg Destroyer last year.
But that's because you throw Destroyers, though. It's not because you throw Calvin discs, right? Yeah,
and you aren't really Tour Series styled, I guess.
Well, okay, so I have a question now. Were you buying that run of the Calvin Destroyer because you were looking for a meat hook over stable Destroyer? Because traditionally the Halo Destroyers are beefy.
No, I'm buying those Calvin Heimberg Destroyers because they have an insane amount of glide for also the insane amount of stability.
Okay.
It's an incredible unicorn disc because you can throw a hyzer 400 feet and not worry about a headwind because of how much glide and how overstable that disc is. It's incredible.
This is a great opportunity just to talk about how the Destroyer has to be the disc in disc golf history that has the most variations of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just it is insane the amount of people that are just oh, this run from 2011 is just super flippy, and it's just that's it feels like that's the only disc that does that, in my opinion. Although I'm sure there's other discs out there.
Michael and I were just talking about this yesterday, and I just threw trespasses in my bag, and I have 3 different trespasses that do 3 completely different things, brand new. So I mean, I think, we were talking about this. I think again we could talk about this topic probably forever, but I think the only company that makes things consistent in every single run is MVP because they make everything board flat, and Franklin discs. But because MVP makes everything board flat, and the only way that you're going to get consistency is if you make a board flat disc.
Although I am interested. This is a great kind of transition here. I am interested to see what Simon comes out with because in a couple of his videos, he wanted some more. He wanted some stuff that was pop toppy. He wanted. Yeah. He was talking about some of the things that he was kind of missing, and he was trying to figure that out with MVP.
Matt is our kind of resident MVP kind of expert in the past. What were those discs that were what plastics could you get a Domi disc in, and then what discs were they?
The old Fissions I feel like were, and they also changed when they brought in a lot more stuff to amp up their production and stuff like that. They changed a lot of plastic types. So old Fission used to be really Domi, and a really nice flight. And I'm trying to think, some of their Neutron a little bit, but I think they've always kind of made some flat discs. Really your Fission's the only one I feel like you saw, any kind of pop toppiness with, because the plastic is a little bit softer.
So light.
Yeah. And it's lighter. But I to kind of jump back to the Simon comment there, I think that I think if they make a mold for him in general, they're not going to want to, but I think Simon's going to push for a streamlined mold. That fits what he's looking for. I think and I have no evidence to this, but I think he's the reason that the Electron Stabilizer came out, so he could beat in something that would fly straighter. I think he was probably a big proponent of that, and I thought he bagged a stabilizer. He was at one point, but yeah, I don't know a lot of the inner workings of MVP now, but one of the reasons I jumped off of them was because I liked their older plastic a lot better than their newer stuff, their board flat stuff.
Gotcha. Yes, I mean Simon's a big reason for like Tour Series and Signature Series. Like they're like that's just another like interesting topic is like with like people coming out with lines like the PM line. James Conrad's got his stuff. Like, is that a Signature Series or is that just like what is it? Because hypothetically, James Conrad. No. Well,
like any kind of that. I think
yeah,
it's called Creator Series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aren't they calling them Creator Series?
Yeah, I would say they're Creator Series. And I think they own some of that line. Yeah, but I think they own that's personally their line. Like, not that they can take it with them when they leave, but I guess I have no idea what the inner workings are of that. But like, that's their line of discs that they're producing, they're molding, they're like they have a way bigger input than Nate putting his name on an XCal.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Nate, like whoever puts their name on the XCal. Yeah,
it is interesting because what if James Conrad leaves tomorrow? Does what happens to the Terra? Do they just keep releasing
Terra
that,
or the Nomad or
right?
No, and I that's the thing is I would imagine if Paul left Discraft, that I doubt that they would produce Paul Macbeth molded discs, but they sell really well. So why would you?
Yeah, they were just called the Athena and all these things. They would just rename them. And they'll still come out with them.
Well, then
Pull Innova and Discmania.
Do they own the
probably
mold and the name, or do they own just the name? Because that came up when Discmania left Innova, because they had only the naming rights and they didn't actually own the molds. Silly.
It's called No Lawyers and just handshakes and deuces. I think one theory that I have is that I think that the pandemic has ruined this market and given us this is that people couldn't get their hands on stock run stuff.
Yeah.
So the Tour Series stuff was coming out. The pandemic, everybody wanted things, and they were just like, well, people are paying out the wazoo, so everything's now a Tour Series. So that $20 mid is now a $35 mid, and our lowest ranking member, guess what? You finished, your highest finish was 21, but you're getting a Tour Series disc now because we'll slap your name on it. But that's my theory.
I think taking another step, commemorative discs whenever somebody wins a tournament.
The absolute worst.
Gross. We need to stop.
Well, also, not that we know anything about their bonus structures, but we know that almost every single pro has a bonus structure in place for winning an event. I guess the only way that we could then find out if this is bogus or not is the commemorative disc part of your bonus, or the proceeds from that part of your bonus, which that would be so scummy if it was.
I'm sure it's in there in some capacity that you do get a little kickback for every disc that you sell with your name on it, but it's just we need to stop at the commemorative disc because everybody that wins a dang silver event is getting a name on it. Stop that.
Okay.
How awesome is it that Discmania just puts a little stamp on the upper right-hand corner of a disc whenever somebody wins, and then they can just sell all the old stock runs they have of stuff. That's genius. Absolutely genius.
So over it. I'm so over that.
Triumph Series, baby.
I'm over them. You know who I'm also over? Dynamic, because they are just as bad.
Everybody is, though. It's everybody trying to make a quick buck wherever they can, and it's working because the sport has exploded. It has exploded, yeah. So Matt,
you fell victim today to buying the signature item. You want to talk us through that? Because I did kind of bully you into it a little bit.
I was gonna say, like, you can't say I fell victim, as I was saying I'm not sure I'm gonna buy the bag, and you go, you're gonna buy the bag, just buy it. It's dope. It's fire. I saw it in Vegas. It's so cool. So don't say I fell victim. If anything, you
fell victim. You fell victim. You fell victim to my bullying.
Yeah. No, I mean, and again, I bought the bag, and this was a little bit of a combination of, like, I like Kelvin a lot, but I was really looking to upgrade my Squatch bag just in general. I had the 1.0, the launch edition. I'll be a Squatchy for life. So
is that what you guys call yourselves?
When I bought my bag. No, I don't think we should go with that either. I hated it as I said it too.
Hashtag Squatchies.
Oh God. Sorry,
Michael and I, we are not Squatchies. We are just grip equipment users. We don't need a nickname.
Should we put together a custom run of Velcro patches for our grip bags that say Squatchy?
Yes.
Maybe the first thing we sell as a part of casual relief.
Squatchy with the red circle and the line through it. Because we're not Squatchies.
Put that on the casual relief bench.
Yes, we'll put a sticker on there next to the disc charger.
We got that idea. Right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
although we should get disc charger patches.
Oh, that'd be so good.
That would be sick. But I was looking to upgrade my Squatch bag anyway. We're looking to upgrade. The original one didn't have the Velcro patch, and the 3.0 bags are really, really slick. I was going to buy the blue one from Katrina, but I'm not a huge Katrina fan, so wasn't going to buy that bag, but decided that, I'm a fan of Kelvin. I like Kelvin, and, like the way the bag looks in the 3.0, and definitely sold on that. So, I did a little bit of the fell victim, and I didn't want to wait to see if they were going to come out with other color schemes and stuff like that. I think they're going to go.
That color is cool. Contrary to other people's beliefs, that color is a great color.
Color's great. Love that color.
I pointed to my girlfriend off camera. I apologize.
No, it's all good. We're in the business of calling out bad takes, and that take of that was a bad color is that's a bad take, because that's a great color. It's not a color we've seen on disc golf bags before. So So just to kind of wrap it up, I think put a bow on kind of our signature series talk here. You bought the signature bag from Calvin because Calvin, it being Calvin was kind of secondary. You were looking for a new bag. You like the brand. You like the color scheme and all the other kind of features that came with it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's 100% accurate. Like I will never move off the Squatch bag, but I wanted to upgrade and upgraded, because I like the color scheme and it had Kelvin's logo on it, and I like Kelvin's logo too. So it all kind of came together.
Yeah. So then to kind of keep pushing, or to keep kind of wrapping it up here. So the three of us are not buying signature series discs because of anyone's name on it. We are buying them because they are a certain run of something that we like, whether it be a plastic or a finish or the glide, or just we are buying that particular run and the name is secondary.
Yep.
However, we also are not buying discs if they have somebody's name on it because we don't like them despite whatever it is. We are.
There are people that I will actively stay away from buying those discs because I don't appreciate what they do.
Good.
And what they say.
Keep your hands strong.
Keep up the good fight.
Keep up the good fight. I think the other thing is that we are also, we are kind of conscious of the fact that not everyone needs these. We are conscious and aware of a lot of the money grabs, and we just don't feel the need to do that. So those are kind of our takes. Not everybody needs a Tour Series disc. The commemorative discs are dumb unless it's a major. That's my take. I don't know about you guys. I think majors are the only thing that can kind of skirt by as far as getting a win disc. But yeah, let us know in the comments or just, message us and let us know what you think about, Signature Series items, what you think is cool, what you think's not cool, who are you supporting, what are you buying, and kind of give us your reasons for why you're out there making those choices on what you spend your hard-earned money on in the disc golf world. So that's kind of our main topic tonight. As always, we'll kind of end with buy or sell. Who wants to go first?
I'm gonna go first.
Okay, take it away, friend.
Buy or sell Ripped Revenge.
Ooh, buy. I'm gonna buy it because I think it's just it's fun every now and then to play it with your buddies. I don't think it's like I don't like playing it a ton. I think it's like a every now and then type of thing. Yeah. And it's obviously more fun when you've got like 5 or 6 people going out there. But if you're just playing with like 1 or 2, it's less fun. But I think it's just a really fun time to kind of break it up, especially when you play with like the same group a lot. It's just definitely fun to switch it up and to spice it up.
Matt?
I'm going to buy. Really wanted to play more Rip Revenge, but there's some shots in there that are kind of odd, and like I think if you took out some cards that weird like grenades and like things that you could potentially hurt yourself if you don't like throw them correctly, that kind of the game part of sketches me out. But overall, I think it's a good adjustment. I don't think we play it enough because we don't play it at all. So I think it'd be a fun way to kind of break things up and we have our bag tags and stuff like that. Even try to like bag tag it and just like mess up the tags a little bit. I think would be kind of fun. Give everybody kind of a chance, so they're not like ultra serious all the time. But I think it's a good change of pace.
Have you guys ever played Disc Dice?
Disc Dice is so much fun. I played it
only like once or twice.
Yeah, so we play it where you roll it for every shot within 50 feet. So... yeah. So I've thrown from 50 feet. I've thrown a forehand driver, trying to get it in there. So it's fun. Like Disc Dice and those variations are definitely fun to play every now and then. And plus with Ripped Revenge, they're adding so many other variations to it now, where you can add in more cards and do different things. Oh, yeah. So yeah, it's always constantly evolving. I think it's fun. Big fan. Big buy.
Sweet. Nice. I'm buying it. As you can see, I have already purchased it. So I'd be
really funny story. My mom bought it for me for my birthday 2 years in a row. So
nice.
Really, really awesome there. So I'll take the next one. So buy or sell mold minimalization. So if you don't know what mold minimalization is, it's pretty much like layering discs in your bag. You have the same, let's say I have giveaways. I want to beat in a bunch of giveaways so they fly differently. So I have the same mold. It feels good in my hand. So you have less molds in your bag. You have the same amount of discs, but they're the same mold in your bag. So does mold minimalization make you a better player, buy or sell?
Ooh. I'm gonna sell that. I think that like it depends on what the type of person that you are. Like if you're the type of person that says like, I want the consistent hand feel, but I want to know like this does something differently, then that's gonna help you be a better player. Yeah. But to just say that mold minimalization makes you a better player, that's a sell.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell that too. I don't necessarily think it makes you a better player. I think it can make you a smarter player more consistent player, just because I think that you're eliminating a lot of factors and that you obviously have seasoned in your discs to the way you like them, so you have a better understanding of your discs. So that's why I think it makes you maybe a smarter player with a higher disc golf IQ, but you still have to execute at the end of the day. So I think it's still maybe it doesn't make you, like I said, not a better player, but maybe a smarter one.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic, and I think on one of these shows we should talk about building a bag and what goes into like building a bag and those kind of things. But I think you have two sides where there's a lot of people that are like mold minimalization is the best way to go. You know, if you really like this disc, beat it in, and it'll fly differently and this and that. And then you have the other camp, which I'm kind of a part of, where if I buy a disc, I want it to fly exactly like what I want it to right out of the box. Like I'm not buying a disc to hit it against a bunch of trees and then hopefully it flies the way I want to. So,
well, here's the thing: like, I'm not buying a disc because I like, and I don't want the flight immediately, which is what you're saying. Like, I love the disc immediately, but then as it goes, it becomes something else, and I'm not necessarily hating that and taking that out of my bag. I'm doing that and enjoying what that new disc is becoming.
Yeah.
As I play with it more.
Yeah. I just think it's a weird concept that like I've heard people say like, yeah, I'm going to buy this disc and then how do I beat it in quicker? Well, you go buy a mold that's less understable and you use that mold. Like
I think the thing that is good for that is that like when you're buying a disc that has like a specific rim or you like the specific feel of that specific disc, like it just feels good, and then like okay, like it'd be better if this like flipped over just a little bit, like a touch, but like if you buy a 7502 but you want it to be a 7522 -22, just buy a 75 -22. Like like that's like I think that's the way that I kind of look at that. Like obviously like if you want just like a touch one way, like then I get it, and you're buying it because like I think the thing of like the example I would use is like a Crave for a fairway driver has a pretty shallow rim. So like if you like that specific rim because it fits like your hand really well, or like it fits like whatever, like then yes, then I would say okay, like if it's something specific in that nature of just like it feels great because of A, B, and C, then yeah, that probably makes sense. But like if you are molding specifically just based on flight, then just buy a different disc.
And I would say, like, I'll take this a step further. When you are starting the sport, you should not look to mold minimize right away. You should buy all the plastic that you want, test out everything, and then figure out what you want to stick with. That's my tips for success right there. Buy as much as you want, test it all out, dudes.
I think we lost Matt. But if we lost Matt, I hope we didn't. We lost Matt. He might become. I hope he comes back. We haven't bodied him enough tonight.
Did not.
But if he comes back, if he hops back in, we will check in with him. But my buy or sell tonight is the Disc Golf Pro Tour needs to standardize basket heights.
So standardizing that, like, everything from ground to like basket or ground to
so like the basket
cage,
so whatever it is, whatever they decide, whether that's like the ground to the top of the cage or the ground to the top of the band, but everything should just be like uniform. I've seen other pros talk about this, and I kind of want your take on this. So like
I'm gonna sell it, and I'm gonna sell it because for those people who know putting in, hey, he's back.
Yeah, I am back. Sorry, I got a phone call mid one of my coworkers inviting me out to some dinner, and was super excited that we're recording a podcast. So we have another listener coming up soon.
Right on. Michael, well,
okay. So I'm still selling.
Okay.
And Matt will probably get your buy or sell off of what I explain here. Putting in golf is so ridiculously hard, and you have whether the greens are fast that day or the greens are slow that day, whether or not there's right to left or left to right or uphill, downhill, whatever it may be, putting is difficult. And how do we make putting difficult? We don't make the target smaller. We make the actual green more difficult. And part of making the green more difficult is adjusting the height of the basket. And I think that, obviously we're not going to go any lower really much, but going higher is definitely going to make it harder to putt in the wind, and making it just more difficult to gauge, like, how much power do I put on this, how much do I affect the nose angle, what all do I do there.
So I'm going to assume that your guess is or buy or sell. Do we need to make putting harder on the Pro Tour?
No, the buy or sell
man.
was multiple pros have started talking about that on the Pro Tour, the baskets should be a standard height. So either they're all elevated baskets or they're all like on the ground or whatever. Like they're all just uniform across the board.
No, and I'm gonna sell that they need to be a consistent height. Because I mean the same reason, like your golf greens in golf are ever changing, like they're all over the place. Not only like your hole doesn't go up and down, but there's slopes and like there's those kind of things that you have to deal with as well. But I think the challenge is going to be like to make putting harder is going to be like pushing out circle one and like those kind of things. To making circle one bigger, like you can't jump putt and do like those kind of things. But I think that's what makes putting harder. And you have to be flexible when it comes to putting. Like you have to be like that is what separates good players from normal casual players, is their putting and their ability to adapt to whatever situation that they're in.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell it. I think basket height's fine. I'm a big proponent of changing up the basket. I don't know what it looks like. I would really like to see it just a little bit smaller, just a little bit tighter.
I stink at putting. I would love to see it just get bigger, like one of those big baskets that I can just throw a ultimate disc into and I would still make it.
I'm not gonna say that the basket should be smaller. I'm going to say that the chains should have less like crossing in order to like catch more frisbees.
What if everybody in the Pro Tour just put it on marksman's?
But I think that brings up a good point though. I think that baskets need to be consistent. Like the Pro Tour needs to come out with a standard basket that they use. Okay, are they? That's sweet.
Yeah, nice. That was the talk last year, at the end of last year. And I think that this year they are just kind of vetting who's going to be the one. And I think they're kind of deciding is like, well, do we work with the manufacturer of baskets to just have like the Pro Tour basket? Or are we going to determine that X is the basket that needs to be on every course? But then that just brings up like there is just a lot of moving parts, because then it's like, well, if we decide then this is the basket, how like does the Pro Tour need to bring in the baskets, or is it like on the responsibility of like the course to buy the baskets? So like they're working on that. I know that was a big thing last year, and it's mostly because poor putters were complaining that the baskets were different from week to week. But yeah. So, anything else, guys, as we kind of wrap it up?
No, thanks for staying on the podcast while I dropped out for a little bit, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, anything for you.
Anything for you.
Well, that's been Casual Relief.
Funny story about that. You just said it. One of my kids that I work with kids on the autism spectrum, did this to a friend, and then a friend did this.
Oh no!
Straight.
So sad. So sad.
And I was just like, oh,
brutal.
So Matt.
No. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Well, that's on that note. That has been Casual Relief. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Be able to make sure to drop a like and a comment. Let us know how you feel about Signature Series discs. And as always, Michael.
There's no spoilers in live sports.
No spoilers in live sports. Keep subpar. Keep on dreaming. All that good stuff. We'll catch you in the next one.